personal philosophy. This is not for everybody, but for me, I don't believe in writer's block. For me, that doesn't mean I didn't
Right.
have a lot of like challenges with this one.
Right.
And I guess just for me, I'm just like big on like doing the time. Like I try to focus on output, not outcome. Like so, or another quote I like is like if you take care of the days, it take care of the years, or you take care of the hours, then that take care of the days. So I just
Hmm.
focus on like for me, my way of getting through any type of like resistance is like I just set a timer. And there's just something magical about it. Like my phone's away from me and I set a timer on my computer and I'm like, okay, today, no matter what, no matter how many meetings or emails I have to do, I'm gonna get at least 3 uninterrupted hours. They can be like broken into sections, like maybe half hour blocks or whatever. But like if it's half hour block, all right, I'm gonna get at least 6 half hour blocks where I'm not doing anything else. If I'm just sitting here fidgeting around for half an hour and nothing useful comes from it, that's okay. But you are gonna have to go through that anyway. So it's like just get those time in. Um, I don't know that that's right for everybody's. As I get older, I'm learning about like everybody has different psychologies, and that's just good for my psychology. But I personally don't believe in writer's block for that reason. Um, yeah, I mean, as far as like specific challenges, this was a very challenging project, if I could say. I mean, we were on it for like a year. There was a double strike in the middle, um, and so we couldn't finish until that was over. But we had to be working through it. I think the hard part for this is just figuring out what it was, and then um, and then running with it. Like it took us a long time for those first couple episodes. There's so many different characters and it's such
Right.
a tightrope. I'm sorry, I thought I cut you off. And it's just a tightrope of like it's it's dark, but there's like comedic elements, but there's this area over here, but there's this, but it's also period piece, and it's also like in this jazzy club, but we don't want to just be actual jazz, but it's this, and then there's the relationship part. So it's really complicated, and Alma knew like the word Alma used starting out with this. She was like, I want something iconic and I want something that would only work on this show. I don't want where if you could take it another show and put that on here, or if you could take this and put it somewhere else, it doesn't work. Um, and so there were a lot of things that were like really good music that almost she was like any other director would be so happy to have this, and they would call me stupid, but I don't want this. Try, you know
Right.
what I mean? So it was just figuring out like cracking the code and building that like language with Alma um, was the biggest challenge, but one that was like really rewarding once we finally figured it out.
Right. One of the things that you mentioned was setting a timer for yourself, right? I think that is so true. And I've been in, I personally like, I work really well under pressure. Like if there's a deadline, like I know that I have to meet it, I'm going to swing all the way. And I remember this one specific example about 10 years ago. I was working on a small project for a client and it was just one of those weeks where things weren't going great, and I really felt like I need to sort of get a couple of days of extension, right, just to put my mind at ease and everything. But they needed to have it, and I'm like, you know what? Let's just go. And I realized that if I had, and I learned from it that if I had not pushed myself to meet that deadline, then later on I probably would have done that with every single thing, right? Because you get into that habit. So pushing yourself and setting expectations for yourself in a way where it's sane really makes things happen for you depending on who you are. At least it did for me.
I agree, and for me, like the aha moment was one day, like last year sometime, I was lamenting that like about how when you work in like freelance and these creative fields, you're thinking about it all day long. Like even when you're not working, so you're never
Yeah.
really resting. And I
Yeah.
was lamenting about like not having a job where you clock in or clock out. And then one day it just hit me and it was like, why don't you? Why don't you just clock in or clock out? And so that's where my timer come from. So it's like I'm clocked in, I'm on the clock, and I'm just doing my thing. I'm not answering text, I'm not answering emails, I'm not scrolling on my phone, anything. I'm clocked in, I'm doing my job as if this was a 9 to 5 and someone was hiring me to do it and I had to be look professional only doing my composing. Um but then I clock out and I'm not thinking about it anymore. And it just for
Yeah.
my mental health, it's helped me. So I think about it like clocking in and clocking out. And it's been really good for me. It doesn't mean I'm like every time I'm coming up with my best ideas and I'm still a human,
Yeah.
but it's helpful for me.